Yeah, the question is for Jackie. First of all, I want to say, Jackie, I enjoy the stuff you've been doing on time course and space. That's the main reason why I love it so much. And the question is, what do you like most about your job as an executive producer or writer?
Well, I'm not an executive producer. Koichi is. My job as a writer, which is the job I've had through the years, is I have a great affection in my heart for the show. I liked it before I even got the job of writing on it. I think it's very unique and wonderful, and the way that it speaks to kids, I think, just gives me this incredible feeling. Like I've traveled abroad, and I know that it plays in different countries, and to go to Madrid and see it in Spanish, and I think there's like Koichi said, it's one of a kind show, and I feel very honored and privileged to write for it and to write stories that kids can relate to, maybe learn from, and we do the best action. And
not too violent or hardcore.
No, I think it's an introduction to superhero genre, which has never been bigger, but it all starts, for me, it all starts with Power Rangers. Then they can go on to X-Men or Fantastic Four or whatever. It all starts with Power Rangers.
Or stay Power Rangers like these guys.
Or stay Power Rangers. It's okay.
Another one? Is Disney still working on a possible Power Rangers anime series?
I've heard rumors of that, yeah. It's possible.
Yeah,
it's possible.
I read about it on the toonzone.net.
Okay, well, it's...
I guess they're looking into different, different opportunities.
Yes.
See, what other areas that Power Rangers brand can spread out and stuff. But nothing concrete or settled or anything like that.
And is John Tui going to make an appearance in Operation Overdrive?
John Tui?
Yeah.
No, he's a very good guy, and he was with us for 2 seasons as Doggy Kruger and SPD and Solaris Night and Mystic Force, but we just couldn't find a spot for him on Operation Overdrive.
How long did it take you guys to know the Zors, the Hubotech Cycle, and the Battleizers?
Okay, Hubotech Cycle and Battle.
It's a Morse code cell phone.
Oh, it's a Zozo.
It's opening it.
He's alive.
He's in the spirit of all our cell phones.
Okay, so the Hubotech Cycle, all these special motorcycle that we have, we get the design from, it's designed by old company called Prex, which is a Japanese company in Japan, that they work very close with the Bandai. After their design is approved, they send us design over to whoever prop house. Back in the US we had people who make motorcycle plates, and in New Zealand we had people who does it too. And once we get the design, it takes about 3-4 weeks to finalize everything and make sure you test it okay. When you jump down, it doesn't break apart. And so that's about.
Sure it works okay.
Yes. Yes, and depends on what kind of motorcycle you're based on. If it's a dirt bike, like a Mystic Force of dirt bikes, you can do more jumps and all that stuff. But Operation Overdrive is a street bike. It's all these pieces on it. So the bike can drive straight, but that's about it. You have to turn. Here comes Tony. So as a Battleizer. Battleizer is again designed by Prex in Japan, and their costumes actually they're made by the company Rainbow, who makes all the ninja helmets and costumes, the monster costume in Japan. They make those, and we send a measurement of a stunt person that he's wearing Battleizer, and they make it for us. It takes about 1 month, 2 months, and we get over here in New Zealand, and we make a new adjustment after that. So it's most of them is about 4 weeks process or even longer.
I got 2 more.
Sorry.
Or someone else can ask questions.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come back to you then. Okay. Yes. Okay. You go ahead.
Sort of similar question I asked you earlier, but could you guys walk us through, I guess, how it used to be and how it is now? What the process is from when you get like one of the Sentai episodes, what the process from there to like when you get the finished script in front of you? Like what the kind of the typical day is and like story planning meetings and stuff like that.
Well, I think Tony was.
Well, I guess I'll start.
Yeah.
I don't think the process, well, at least on Wild Horse, that hasn't essentially changed since we started. Basically, I think we get the Sentai episodes in, the head writer, producers, whoever's in charge of story will review it. They'll yank out and excise everything that we can't use out of it. So if it looks like it's in Tokyo, it's got to go. If it's got kanji, it's got to go. It's got, So what we're left with is spandex rangers and latex monsters. So then that is cut in that process. At the same time that's going on, there's been story meetings at the beginning of the season. They'll generally lay out an arc of stories that goes along with the arc of toy development that the Bandai folks would give us, so that we would know what's coming and how. And once you lay that story out, and we know what's going to happen generally in the arc of the series, then each individual story then is come up with and assigned to a writer. The writer then writes that story around it, indicating where that footage is, where the Japanese footage is supposed to play. And then after that, it's shot, and it's up to folks like Koichi and these other guys that do such a great job to make it all fit together. We do have one step at the end that allows us to fix things, and that's the ADR step. Since so much of the stuff is in Japanese, it has to be dubbed later in a process called ADR. And that's the point where we add all the rangers and the costumes, and we can fix any little story problems that may have come up when we were shooting, or oops, we forgot that this character can't say that sort of thing. So I think the process is essentially the same, except that we didn't pay attention at all to the Japanese stories at the beginning, and I believe they do now.
Yes, it's the things change again from season Half-Life Turbo on to Wild Force. Those 5 years, we stick a little bit more to the Japanese storylines, just because of the preference of producer Jonathan Zakor. Because he's on the Sentai show too, so he believed that what kids like in Japan would translate to kids like in America too. So that those 5 years, what we did is we took the idea from Japanese storylines and we create our story based on their storylines, so that our characters and some of the story, some of the episodes are the same. Of course, some of them totally different, but we have more episodes similar to Japanese one during the course of those 5 years. And after Disney, completely different story, because they want to be more, because as you know, Japanese Sentai show is very dramatic, very drama, right? Everything's a big deal. So that we did that in a similar thing, after the Wild Force. But Disney want to, take that, the dramatic down a little bit more, so they get more of a, they use more conversation we use every day kind of life. So, Jackie and Doug and Ann, when Disney took over, they worked on really hard to change the style back to, how Disney would like it. And sort of we have to find somewhere between, because if you become a completely Disney show, the fan of you guys won't like the show. So that we have to find somewhere between. That was sort of our job to try to find a happy medium for Disney and also for Sentai. Yes?
Was there a lot of debate, this is a question mainly for Jackie and Tony, was there a lot of debate towards the end of Power Rangers in Space whether or not to use the end of Zordon as the plot device for eradicating all evil throughout the Ranger universe? And I know that would be controversial among some of the fans who were like, no, Zordon.
I was off the show by then.
Yes. So,
Koichi had a lot to do with that story.
Yeah, the Countdown to Destruction, those are, we had a lot of meetings how we finished the season on those Project in Space. Because up to In Space, we had a crossover actors, so some actors are crossing over for one season to another. But from after the Space, we want to start from fresh with all new actors. So we want to finish the sort of stories, Project arc in Space seasons. So that we try to figure out what's the best idea. So Jonathan, myself, and Jackie, we all sit down, we talk, for many, many days and nights, and Chip. Yeah, whichever name you want to use. Yeah. We sit down many days and nights and try to figure out what were the best solutions. And
Jonathan's meetings could be legendary.
And Jerry's
Jerry's cafe, weekends, and yes. So that we spend a lot of hours trying to figure out. Then finally, based on the concept I gave to Jonathan, we sort of add our ideas to that concept. That was what you saw on TV.
And I think that's when we decided to make the clean break and go new cast every year, rather than
carrying on some people from
yes,
previous.
just to make a clean break.